So the Bank of Japan is meeting today and actually tomorrow, but what will be 11 p.m. Eastern Time, that's New York time tonight, there will be a decision on interest rate policy. Now, what makes this meeting very, very, very different from all the other meetings is that supposedly they're going to be considering and perhaps engaging in what is being called overt monetary stimulus or overt monetary financing, OMF. There's another little acronym you could have, okay? There's a great article. If you go to my blog, MikeNormanEconomics.blogspot.com, or you could also access it by going to MikeNormanEconomics.org. I don't know if you guys knew I had a blog too. Not just the Pitbull Economics site, but MikeNormanEconomics.blogspot.com. A lot of the stuff on there is also kind of geopolitical, socio-economic, let's say. But there's a great article by Bill Mitchell. Some of you may know who Bill Mitchell is. He's a professor in Australia. He's a big-time MMT guy. He also has a blog, writes every day, lots of great stuff. His posts are really long too. I mean, if you have time, I just find them to be long. But he's a very insightful, very, very smart guy. And he's been talking about this overt monetary financing, which actually would put the Bank of Japan in a position to provide the financing to the government of Japan to run much larger budget deficits without issuing any new bonds. Okay, so the whole thing's kind of crazy because, first of all, the bond issuance, as we know, is not really a debt. It's simply a reserve drain. Okay, it's a swap for reserves in the banking system for government securities. We also know that the Bank of Japan is precluded by law. It is illegal. Let's just get this right, okay? It is illegal under Japanese finance law for the Bank of Japan to lend money to the government. In other words, to buy its bonds. It is illegal, okay? It can buy the bonds from existing holders, but it cannot buy them directly. So this overt monetary financing is some new scheme that they've been thinking of. Actually, you know who thought this up was Ben Bernanke, of all people. He was over in Japan on the 14th of July, consulting with the government. So what would happen here would be that to get around this legality question, the government of Japan would issue perpetual zero coupon bonds. Okay, they would never mature. The special series of zero coupon bonds that are not marketable securities. Okay, they could only be sold to the Bank of Japan. Okay, it's crazy. You know, when you think about it, the government of Japan could print all the yen that it wants, but it's under this kind of belief constraint. Right? It's crazy. Anyway, so if they go along with this, they're talking about a massive stimulus, 100 billion or something like that, without adding to the debt, because the Bank of Japan just holds on to these bonds, and it's not considered part of the debt. They never have to be repaid. They never have to be repaid, okay? So what Bill Mitchell is writing, and here's why this is very important, because for the last 40 years, everything has really been about monetary policy. If you are an observer of economics, mainstream economics, academic economics, the economics we hear all the time from Wall Street and the public sort of discussion of economics, it's always been about the Fed and central banks and monetary policy and what can monetary policy do. And we know, as MMT people, if you've been following MMT people, monetary policy is very, very ineffective. I mean, all it is price setting. And if you believe that price setting is, effective in regulating or maintaining a certain level of output or full employment, I mean, I think the evidence is pretty clear that it's not. Okay? So anyway, Bill Mitchell writes that OMF, Overt Monetary Financing, can finally, if it happens, can finally flush out the disdain for fiscal policy. So everything's been about monetary policy for the last 40 years. Milton Friedman, was the economist who started this all off in the 70s. And it's always been about central banks and monetary policy and regulating the economy, which has been totally ineffective. And fiscal policy has been kind of thrown under the bus and castigated, and there's just a general disdain for fiscal policy. But if this happens, it's a breakthrough. It is a breakthrough, okay? Because if it happens, also it's going to work, all right? It is a breakthrough. It is going to flush out this disdain for fiscal policy. It's going to show that it really is the only way to go. So to make a long story short, lot is riding on tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I mean, if they come out with this, the markets are going to go nuts. Nuts! The yen is going to tank. Stocks will go through the roof. I think treasuries will tank. Gold will go through the roof. And all commodities probably will go up. So those of you in the oil, you'll probably get a little reprieve here. And that includes me. If the Bank of Japan sticks with the orthodoxy, the economic orthodoxy of the last 40 years, there's going to be disappointment all around. Not that anything has changed. Remember, if they stick with it, the disappointment that erupts in the markets, maybe stocks sell off, maybe treasuries rally, maybe more pressure on commodities, maybe the dollar rally, that's just a reaction based on nothing new that has changed, okay? So you're going to have to fade that, but we'll have to do that tomorrow or on Monday, who knows. But just telling you, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, New York time tonight, that's when they're going to announce it, and I'll probably be sleeping, all right? But if you can get dollar yen down here, like at around 104, 25, 30, dollar yen, buy it. I think that's a good level. I really do. If something happens, that dollar yen's going to shoot right up. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.